الحمد لله الحمد لله الذي جعل الإسلام بين قلوب المؤمنين وأوجب الاتحاد وحرم التفرق في كتابه المبين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله هدى من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم، وأشهد أن سيدنا محمد رسول الله خير داع إلى طريق القويم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه الذين تحببت نفوسهم وتهبت قلوبهم فكانوا سلف المنصورين. أما بعد، فيا عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي أولا بتقوى الله تعالى وطاعته. That is, all praise is due to Allah, who has united the hearts of the believer in Islam and has made it an obligation to remain united, and has made it forbidden to become separated in His clear book. I bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah, who guides to the straight path whom He wills, and I bear witness that our leader Muhammad is His messenger and the best caller to the way that is straight. O Allah, send your prayers and your peace upon our leader Muhammad and upon his family and upon his companions, whose hearts were united and whose souls were educated, so that they became victorious leaders. And what follows thereafter, O believers of Allah, I advise you as well as I advise myself to first have the proper regard for Allah and thereafter be obedient to Him. Dear believers, I greet you with the universal greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be with you. Dear believers, we are at the attribute of Al-Mujeeb, which means the responsive one. Allah is referring to Himself, refers to Himself as the responsive one, the one who responds. And when we look at the Arabic language, we know that the prefix of mu means one who, and Jeeb is response. So Allah is Al-Mujeeb, the one who responds, the responsive one. There's a verse in the Quran that says, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim." It says, how many are the creatures that do not carry their own sustenance? Allah feeds both them and you, for Allah hears and knows all things. So why this verse when we think about Allah being the responsive? And Allah asks this question in this verse, in this ayat. He asks the question of how many, or count how many of the creatures do not carry their own sustenance. They do not carry their own ability to satisfy or fulfill their own needs. How many are the creatures? And for us, it's probably an easier question to say how many do not, because we can readily think of animals and even us that don't carry our own sustenance. The mother carries milk, but it's not her sustenance, it's for the child. So Allah asks how many, or to count how many of the creatures that carry their own sustenance. And then Allah responds, because it's a rhetorical question. Allah responds, He says that Allah feeds both them and you, letting us know that those animals, those creatures that don't carry their own sustenance, Allah feeds them. But before we begin to think too highly of ourselves, Allah says He feeds us as well. And we know that we get our food from the ground, we get it from animals, we get it from different places. But Allah sustains us. So again, why this verse? Why this verse of this sustenance? How many creatures carry around their own sustenance? And when we think about sustenance, we look at the word that pops to our mind is sustain or sustainment. And there are many aspects of what sustainment sustainment could look like. You know, in the military, we talk about bullets and beans for sustainment. But also, if you know, if you were a chaplain or ever got to that role, you would see that when it's time to do what's called the MDMP, or the military decision making process, a lot of times even the unit ministry team, the chaplain's role, is pushed into sustainment. So this idea of the spiritual well-being of the soldier is put in the same lane as the S4 or sustainment. So this tells us that how many of the creatures, count how many creatures carry their own sustainment, how many creatures not only carry their own food for their physical body, but how many creatures carries what they need for their soul. How many creatures carry what they need for emotional support? How many creatures carry what they need for their mental well-being? Allah says He feeds both them and you. Allah is the responsive one. So the need to sustain something is because there is a request, and it may not be a verbal request. In some cases it may be a verbal request, but the natural disposition of the body, the natural disposition of the human, if we're speaking strictly on ourselves, is to have urges and have desires. Sometimes that urge is for life, sometimes that urge is for procreation, sometimes that urge is for community, for a sense of purpose, and that causes us, voluntarily or involuntarily, to request these things. Maybe my behavior becomes such that I'm starting to exhibit signs that I need something, that I need. Maybe I need some emotional support. Maybe I need some care because I'm feeling down. And Allah feeds both them and us. And so I call out. Maybe before I get to the point of where I can, where I not revert, but I think on Allah, and I call to Allah. Maybe I'm reaching out in all directions. I'm reaching out to my friends. I'm reaching out to my family. I'm reaching out to all these people, and I feel like they don't hear me. I feel like I'm trying to communicate the best that I can. I'm trying to communicate my needs. I'm trying to communicate what's going to make me better, what's going to make me whole. And nobody listens. Nobody hears me. And those that listen, maybe they have good intentions, but they can't provide me exactly what it is that I need. They can't sustain me. But I'm still calling out. They're not responding. The one that I want to pay attention to me, the loved one that I want to pay attention to me, the one that passed away, that's no longer here, that I need for them to be there for me. No. They don't respond to my call. Allah is Al-Mujeeb. Allah is the responsive one. So it's not until I take all those things that I desire, it's not until I take what it is that I need to sustain me, to fulfill me, to give me hope, to give me purpose, to give me a reason sometimes just to live. Not until I turn to my Creator will that be sustained. Not until I turn to my Creator will someone respond to me, or someone will be responsive. We can think to some of our darkest times, some of our saddest moments, some of those times when we felt so isolated and so alone, and we felt like we couldn't go on, and we tried everything. We tried to talk to our family. We tried to talk to those who were professionals in providing emotional support, or 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 even sometimes uh, mental health professionals, but we got nothing. But then when we turned to Allah, when we took all of our hopes, all of our fears, everything that we need to sustain us, to build us up, to make us whole again, and we turned and we called on our Creator, He responded. And He made just have given us enough to get through that day. But He responded. It may have just been a conversation or a word from somebody that lifted us up just for that very minute to help me get over that hump. But it was because of Allah. Allah was responsive. He knew what we needed. He knew what was going to sustain us. And He made that happen, dear believers. Allah is Al-Mujeeb. أقول هذا استغفر لي ولكم والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. So, dear believers, we know that each month the Army focuses on a specific topic or a specific subject. And this month, we know is suicide awareness, suicide prevention month. And the military, the Army, really takes this serious. It really takes serious this idea of saving lives of service members. And we know that some of us have experiences that we had in the military while we were in the military. And some things may have come from situations that we're dealing with from either our past or things that are happening to us externally, whether family, friends, loved ones, and they put us in a place to where we feel as though we're alone. We feel as though no one hears us. We feel as though maybe if we weren't here, life would be better for everyone else. The situation would be better for everyone else. Or I can't carry this weight of maybe my decisions, of maybe what somebody else decides to do. I can't carry this along anymore. And so we get to this place that sometimes we really don't like to talk about. We feel that we can't reach out to others. We feel that we can't talk to them about what's hurting us. And I know sometimes it's so simple for religious leaders or those that have some kind of public trust that is grounded in religion to tell you that every time just turn the guide, it's going to be okay. You may have had an experience that pushed you away, maybe because of somebody's presentation of whatever of your religion or of a religion, and you don't know how to get to align yourself with that. So you may refrain from seeking assistance from somebody that maybe has a religious perspective. You may have heard from someone else how maybe EBH does not really help you. They just want to prescribe you medication and diagnose you with something to get you put out of the Army that may further increase your problems or may further increase your feelings about yourself. But I just want to tell you, dear believers and those that may be viewing this, that it's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to wonder, am I truly going to be helped if I turn to God? Am I truly going to be helped if I seek help or seek support? What I do ask you to do is to reach out to someone, is to talk to someone, is to find some way to get those emotions in a healthy way, to get those thoughts out and communicate it and find a way to process. And when we boil it all down to the bigger picture, whichever route you go, or you may say that I don't want to go to a religious person to talk about this because they're just going to either try and convert me or they're going to push their beliefs off on me. The thing that I find satisfaction or comfort in is knowing that regardless of, of how you find benefit, regardless of what way you find that helps you find purpose and support, it was the will of God. It was the will of Allah. It was placed there for you because you had that internal need, and you may have cried yourself to sleep. You may have cried yourself to sleep. You may have cried while you held that gun to your head, while you had that gun in your mouth. You may have cried as you held that razor to your wrist. You may have cried while you had that belt around your neck. And it may have been hard. And for whatever reason, you didn't do it, but you sought help, or someone was there to help you in that amount, in that nick of time. Allah is Al-Mujeeb. Allah is the responsive. It doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to physically manifest himself and bring you out of that. He may not physically come to your vision and say, hey, don't do that, or speak to you personally, but he's going to put people in your life. He's going to put things in your life. He's going to put situations in your life that are going to help you, because Allah is Al-Mujeeb. He is the responsive one. He knows the reason for every tear that hits your pillow, everything that makes you sad, everything that makes you question yourself. Allah is Al-Mujeeb, and he will respond to you. So call on him, dear believers. Go and seek help if you're having issues or thoughts of suicide or harming yourself or someone else. Reach out to your battalion chaplain, brigade chaplain. Find some way to get in contact with me and I'll talk to you. Allah is Al-Mujeeb. Allah is the responsive one. He is the one that's going to sustain you. He feeds both them and you. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين.